Welcome to Ask an Innovator, where we will dive deep into the mind, body, and soul of innovation. Today, my guest is who I think one of the most innovative and most influential people. Lisa is quite possibly single-handedly the most influential person in the Northwest for bringing life to innovation. An anchor at CBC, Thunder Bay, for 25 years, Lisa has illuminated the illustrious. Every morning, Lisa stages the day for thousands, whether it is over morning coffee or the drive to work. Lisa is a consistent presence by way of what is new, exciting, and real in our community. Lisa, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much. That's a lot to live up to.
Yeah, well, you have done so much by way of bringing innovation to light. You've interviewed a lot of innovators over the years.
I have.
Do you consider yourself to be an innovator?
No, I would consider myself to be more an illuminator. It was just something along the same lines. I think my job is to make sure the people I'm talking with have the opportunity to tell their story. They're the innovators. I'm helping them tell their story. Mm-hmm. So that's my rough definition of it.
You've helped me tell this story.
Yes.
I think that why this show exists has a lot to do with the work that I've done with you at CBC.
That's kind of cool.
Whether you know it or not, the innovation that's happening here has a lot to do with your influence on me.
Well, you're a natural. I keep saying Cole is such a natural. He's made for radio because radio is about conversation, and radio is about creating intimacy, and radio is about keeping people informed. And you tell a great story. You're natural at it, so I can see why you're doing something like this.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about you.
So we don't do that very often.
Yeah, right. So this is going to be interesting. You're usually the one asking the questions.
I am.
And now here, you're going to have to do your best job to answer mine.
I will do it.
Okay, so let's start with the easy stuff. So you came to Thunder Bay how long ago?
Probably about 24, 25 years ago. Right. I arrived here to produce the morning show, and I was going to stay for 2 years. That was it. And then we were going to move on, and eventually I was going to take over the national and Peter Mansbridge's job. That was my dream. Mm-hmm. And 2 years, after being here for 2 years, well, I met my husband and got married, and the rest is history. I'm here, and I love it.
And you love it.
I do.
That's absolutely amazing. So the Superior Morning has been a great success. The people at CBC in Thunder Bay have managed to keep you in Thunder Bay. The allure to Thunder Bay, is it your husband Brad? Was it the community of Thunder Bay?
Thunder Bay is kind of a hard city to get to know. When I first came here, I wasn't quite sure what to make of it. I come from Newfoundland, which, as we all know, is very friendly and everybody knows everybody kind of atmosphere. And coming here and plopping in the center of the city and not knowing one person was daunting. But as I got to know Thunder Bay, I realized how wonderful it is. And it's like Newfoundland in some ways. We can do it on our own, like a toughness, a stubbornness. We'll help each other out. We're survivors, we're tough, we're Northerners. And that just captured me. I mean, I love the independence here. Mm-hmm.
I was reading a little bio on you on the CBC website, and it said that you love to read.
I read voraciously.
Right. Why do you love to read?
I've always loved to read. When I was a little girl, my mom, I'm the oldest of 6 kids. So when my mom would go grocery shopping, quite often she'd take me because the library was right next door to the grocery store. And she would drop me off there and go get her groceries and come back and get me, and I'd have an armful of books ready to go for the next week. Always loved it. It's total escape. It might have been from the craziness of being the oldest of 6 kids. But it was, and you could learn so much. Like there was a world out there that I knew nothing about, and you could learn all that in books. So that's why I love to read, and I still read.
Do you think that your love for reading got you into broadcasting?
No question. No question, because it's the same thing. It's like my favorite books when I were growing up were like about World War II and about Britain and all those kinds of things. And it made me realize there was life beyond Newfoundland, and if I wanted to know life beyond Newfoundland back then, you had to ask questions. And then I also, there's a family connection as well. My uncle worked for CBC, and he was my hero. And whenever I heard him, when he came back to Newfoundland to do specials, I'd be tagging along and thinking, oh my God, you get paid to talk to people? Isn't that the best thing ever?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The word broadcaster, I I picked up in Webster, a brief definition, made public by means of radio or television, which I think seems to make sense. And the second definition of broadcast was kind of interesting: cast or scattered in all directions.
Yeah. If you look at our show, isn't that the truth, though?
Right.
I mean, from 6 till 8:37, we do about 20 different stories, different ways throughout the show, from very local to what's happening in Syria, to what's happening in other places around the world. So yeah, it's kind of scattered, but with a cohesive theme.
Right. Sounds like multitasking.
Yeah, in a way.
Right.
And I think in 5-minute chunks. If you ask me in 5 minutes time what I'm doing, I'll change gears and go to the next story.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. The back to reading a little bit. I had a funny little quote that I was picking up on here. This is a Lemony Snicket. Now, Lemony Snicket, or AKA Daniel Handler. Xenial is a word which refers to the giving of gifts to strangers. I know that having a good vocabulary doesn't guarantee that I'm a good person, but it does mean I've read a great deal. And in my experience, well-read people are less likely to be evil. Lemony Snicket.
I like that. That is so true, because you've broadened your outlook on the world already by reading and reaching out and seeing what other people have to say. That makes perfect sense.
Now, you're a question asker, and I'm going to take this quote one step further. Snicket, or Handler, also wrote a book called All the Wrong Questions. It was the prequel to a series of unfortunate events. For 25 years, you've been a question asker, hopefully asking all of the right questions. What are the ingredients of the right questions?
The right questions are short and open-ended. I'm asking you, one of the most important questions you can ask is, what happened? You ask that, and you tell me the story. Well, this is what happened, Lisa, and you begin to tell me a story. I've opened it up for you. I've left it wide open. I'm not narrowing you in to one little tiny, so on Wednesday at 2:25 in the afternoon, this happened and that happened. All you're going to say to me is, yes, that's right, or no, that's wrong. I'm stuck. But if I say, what happened, you tell me a story. So that's one of the most powerful questions you can ask somebody. You can also ask them, well, how did that make you feel? And when you think back on that now, what did you learn from it? So those kinds of wide open questions get the most incredible answers.
I can clearly see that I have a lot to learn from you about question asking. When we come back from the break, I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into asking Lisa questions about question asking and the importance of asking good questions. Be right back.